Good morning, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and it's just more of the same every time I look at any news source. But before we dive in, please remember to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can stay up to date with all the new content. Diving into this one, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez warns of very real risk of Trump win in 2020, says frustration with Pelosi is quite real. Looking into this one, it's once again the media fawning over a 29-year-old whose only real experience is going to a liberal college where her politics basically guaranteed her success, and then tending bar. Uh, right now, I don't know. I've said that she is one of the greatest gifts to the GOP we could have been given, but it seems to be also that she is truly representative of the new Democratic Party, the new liberal side of politics, rather than what I grew up watching, where you did have conservative and liberal, where it was very easy to see who was which, Republican, Democrat, so on and so forth, who wanted to raise taxes, who wanted to lower, who wanted to increase the size of the government, increase what the government was in control of in your daily life. Now, it's no longer just that. It is everything about everything. You see, right now, you have AOC talking about, one, that it's not just about liberal. If you look at this fourth paragraph, I think that if we elect a president on half measures that the American people don't quite understand, the agenda of a president, that says we're fighting for higher wages, but we don't want $15 minimum wage. Fighting for education, but we don't want to make colleges tuition free. Fighting for women's rights, etc., but we don't want to go all the way with that. Then I think we have a very real risk of losing the presidency, Ocasio-Cortez continued. First of all, $15 minimum wage has been tried, and it hurts workers. It harms them more than it helps them. Look to any city where minimum wage has gone up to $15 an hour, and look to the fast food industry. Look to the movie theaters. Look to anything where it is a minimum wage job. I've worked those while in school and out of school. When you look at somewhere like McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, Taco Bueno, Whataburger, any fast food restaurant where minimum wage suddenly gets hiked to 15 an hour, you see people fired, let go on layoffs because of a need to reduce the cost of operating. So mobile ordering is hyped and pushed. Kiosks are put into the restaurant so that you put in your own order, and then you just walk up and the person who's actually bagging the orders hands you a cup for your drink instead of someone taking your order. Yes, they do still have someone manning the register, but you'll notice in those restaurants it's no longer 2 or 3 people at lunch. It's one, maybe one with a manager helping, and a kiosk. And the kiosk is very inviting so that you don't really interact with anyone except the person who hands you your food. When I went to a movie theater very recently, a friend of mine who had an extra seat for Endgame, and he just said he was going to give it to me as, I guess, a birthday present or something. I don't know. But we went to a movie theater that is not your typical. This was a movie tavern. It was not Rave or Cinemark or whatever. But I've been to those. And I've been to them where we don't have $15 an hour minimum wage. And I still see a lot of vending machines. I see a lot of self-serve. And I see a lot less behind the counter. We have a very small theater here, small company. It's the same. It's still a mega building here in my town, where when you go up and you order, say you order nachos or a hot dog or popcorn, or you want something that is not a soft drink, all of them are self-serve. You're no longer giving them your order and having them fill it. You're showing them, here's what I have. They just hit buttons. That is what is the epitome of unskilled workers, which Ocasio-Cortez here demands $15 an hour minimum wage for. I didn't make the equivalent of $15 an hour when I was managing a photo lab in the late 1990s. I was management in retail, and looking at inflation and cost of living and everything else, I was making about $12 an hour in that job. I didn't actually make the equivalent of $15 an hour until 7 years ago, when I actually was making more than $15 an hour. And yes, I'll admit it, life sucks when you don't make a lot of money. But I don't demand the government give me more. I cut back, I take an extra job, I mow yards on the weekends. It's personal responsibility, and that's what the liberals demand we get rid of. You look at her statement about making colleges tuition free. Who will pay for the teachers, the groundskeepers, the administrators, the counselors, the librarians? That's the question no one ever answers. You see, when someone asked AOC how she plans to pay for her $90 trillion plus price tag on the Green New Deal, her answer was, you just pay for it. It's not a valid answer. You see, I've met people and I've known people for a long time struggling paycheck to paycheck. And some of them are close friends of mine. And I remember them saying, when someone asks them, well, how do you make sure you've got everything you need? And the answer is always the same. We have to cut expenses elsewhere. You know, maybe you don't get a new car. You go get a couple of parts to make sure your older car stays running. You don't buy new clothes. You don't buy a new TV. You don't subscribe to Netflix or Hulu or whatever. You live with over-the-air television and a VCR or DVD player. And this is the epitome of personal responsibility. If you don't have enough to pay for groceries and electricity and water and your prescriptions, you cut unnecessary things out of your life. You don't have Netflix and Hulu and all these other things. You don't get cable. You don't buy the new 60-inch flat screen. You live with what you have. You don't go buy a new car. You fix the one you have. And you wait until you can afford it. But that is the antithesis to the Democratic Party. You see, the Democratic Party is no longer the party of ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. They are now the party of, we will take everything from you and we will give you back what we say you will or you are allowed to have. All of the time that they're demanding higher wages, all of the time they're demanding tuition-free colleges, all the time they're demanding health care in the form of abortion, they're demanding control. You see, if college becomes tuition-free, then every professor, administrator, counselor, groundskeeper, librarian, anyone who works for that college is now beholden to the government for their entire income. As opposed to the students paying it, it's now the government paying them. So they're now beholden to the government. If the government suddenly decides that a certain part of history or a certain something in science or in sociology or any class is counter to their goals, every professor at the tuition-free college instantly has to stop teaching it. Anyone who doesn't, fired. I don't understand how this is unclear to anyone with a working brain. I understand AOC and her inability to see this because she went to a college where they taught that economics of socialism, where the government literally controls everything, is perfect. Forgetting about countries like Cuba, Communist China, the USSR, and currently, as we watch, Venezuela, where people living under socialism are eating garbage and being killed by the repressive government because they dared to protest. This is the start. The demands that the government control everything always start with these things. You have a right to make more. You have a right to go to college and have zero economic or other responsibilities. You have a right to kill your baby because it's inconvenient. It will grow from there. And it will grow until it is, quite literally, we control your entire life. And when that happens, it's over. No amount of protesting or rising up will work because they are literally in control of 100% of daily life. We will be living in 1984, where dissidents vanish from society. And I, for one, don't want to live in that world. But I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think. As always, remember to keep it civil. We don't learn from argument, we learn from debate. A few people have already learned that I don't accept being insulted and nothing else. It's just that simple. You can challenge me. You can disagree with me. I encourage it. But do so in a way that is civil and logical. Make your point without insulting, without resorting to childish tactics. Until then, please remember to like and share the video so that we can expand the conversation, as well as please also remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.